Okay, Joseph, imagine you're a psychologist. You're married,
Okay.
and you just had your first baby boy named Donald. You're driving home from the hospital with your wife in the back seat holding your son. Because you're a psychologist, you're excited to witness all of the developmental milestones that make humans so unique in the animal kingdom. You think to yourself, what an interesting question. Why are some animals so different from each other? What is it about humans that make us so much more evolved than, for instance, a chimpanzee? How much of it has to do with nature versus nurture? So, naturally, what do? You adopt a 7-month-old chimpanzee from Cuba and raise it in your home as Donald's sister.
Bro. No!
Welcome to Psych Papers, a podcast with bad content where we discuss intriguing psychology studies and concepts, and we conduct our own follow-up research inspired by the episode's topics. I'm Chris Cole, I have a PhD in psychology, and this is my co-host, Joseph.
And I'm his friend, Chris.
In today's...
Chris, we've had a good string of like decent psychology episodes where everyone's chill, where it's like, oh, it's a child. He's learning to find himself in this world. Jesus.
I just know you love our unethical monkey studies.
I know. Is this the one where we prove babies are smart? Is this the episode?
No,
it's not the one.
It's not this one. It's
not the one. Ain't it, Chief?
Maybe next time. In today's episode, we're discussing Winthrop and Luella Kellogg's experiment where they raised a baby chimpanzee alongside their 10-month-old son to test the effects of nature versus nurture on development.
Yo, I can't.
Somehow unethical psychology experiments and monkeys just seem to go hand in hand.
Oh, they seem. Wait, what time period is this again?
Mm-hmm.
What time?
Oh,
what year is this?
1931.
He's going to the wire mother.
Oh, God.
Got feet to live.
Yep, which means you know it's going to be unethical.
Man. Oh, jeez. All right, let's get this over with.
All right.
So, homeboy,
I love your attitude about
chimpanzee.
this.
Hey, we're here.
Yep.
We're recording. Let's do this.
So, Winthrop Kellogg was the psychologist that conducted this experiment. Let's talk about who was he. Winthrop Kellogg was born in 1898 and was an American comparative psychologist, which means he studied the behaviors and mental processes of animals. After serving for 2 years in World War I, he got his undergrad degree at Indiana University, where he met his wife, Luella. He tried to go into journalism, but was persuaded by Luella's uncle to go into academia. So, Winthrop followed his advice and received his master's and PhD from Columbia University. He worked as a researcher and professor at Florida State University and Indiana University, where he built a research laboratory for studying conditioned behaviors in dogs. But not just any dogs, Joseph.
What kind of dogs?
Dogs
Chris?
with certain parts of their brains removed.
Oh my God.
So here he was a prolific researcher who published over 50 scientific articles and mentored many grad students. His colleagues described Winthrop as a workaholic who had little tolerance for those he saw as unjust and unethical, even though he ran an experiment on his own son, which we'll get to.
Oh, God.
He was known to be an incredible classroom teacher and was a rigorous researcher. Kellogg's work on comparative psychology with chimpanzees and bottlenose dolphins led Florida State University to name its psychology research building after him. Winthrop studied a variety of topics in a variety of animals. He conducted the first experimental study of learning by snakes. Apparently, he taught water snakes how to navigate mazes. He also spent time studying echolocation and sonar in bottlenose dolphins.
Okay. Well,
he also conducted studies on rats, mice, and birds. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, like pretty
bad.
cool.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
But out of all of his work in Indiana, none would bring him as much attention as his infamous study involving his own son and Gua, the chimpanzee. So Winthrop was always interested in the idea of humanizing apes and argued the necessity of comparative developmental studies between humans and primates. He wanted to determine the relative influence of nature versus nurture. And this is when he came up with the idea of raising a chimpanzee alongside his own son.
Oh my god.
What a great idea.
Hey.
What a great light bulb moment.
Hey, you know what? Hey, if you're not a real researcher, if you can't put yourself in the research, man. That's all I'm saying, dude. I practice what I preach.
If you don't,
what I'm saying.
if you don't use your own children in your studies, well, what are you even doing? You're not a real researcher.
This is a inspiration for a Marvel villain out there.
Oh yeah,
Marvel DC villain.
Yeah.
Jesus.
mm-hmm. He was inspired by the wolf children of India, 2 girls who were allegedly raised by a wolf family. Apparently, these girls lived in the jungle, and because they were raised by wolves, they learned to act like wolves to survive.
Okay.
Winthrop read about the wolf children and asserted that the girls learned to live like wolves because that was, quote, what their environment demanded of them. He thought that it would be too unethical to place a child in the wild and observe their development among feral animals. So,
Wait,
the
hold
next
on.
best he came up with-
Before we go on, just want to say, thank God he had some. He had some perspective. You know what?
yeah,
Throwing a
Yeah.
child in the woods, not a great idea.
I bet his wife had to convince him of that.
honey,
We'll be
I
watching
don't
him the
think
whole
it's a-
time.
No, I don't. I
What do you
don't approve
mean?
of this. I just said I don't approve of this.
I used to
don't
I
trip.
used to play in the woods all the time, and I'm
Yeah,
fine.
wait, your father didn't just leave you in the woods and inspected you from afar for days and weeks.
We'll be watching him the whole time. We'll make sure it doesn't get hurt. He'll grit, you know? He'll get some
Angela
grit from
Duckworth's
this.
Angela Duckworth's grit. No,
Exactly.
No, this is I'm using my no card here. So come up with another
Oh,
idea.
I hate that card. Okay. How about this? Instead of putting our
Yes.
child in the wild, we put our wild in the child. So let's adopt a chimpanzee and raise him
That was not scripted.
in our home. Cut that out. That's stupid.
You just can't cut things because you want it, Chris.
Cut.
We put the wild. Yeah, we're gonna put the wild in the child. You gotta own your mistakes, Chris.
In 1931, Winthrop and Luella Kellogg, husband and wife, moved to Florida and brought Gua, the 7-month-old chimpanzee, into their home to raise alongside their 10-month-old son, Donald. They were to be raised as brother and sister. Donald and Gua were treated as equally as possible. They were dressed, bathed, fed, and taught in the same manner. They both wore diapers and little shoes and even had similar play toys. Which I was thinking about. They had them for a while. Do you think they dressed them up in like matching pajamas and took like holiday photos?
They had to.
If that was the thing?
If anything I know any parents did, which my mom did with us, is 1, you save money, and 2, it's super cute. Super cute to
It's
have the
super
older
cute.
child wear the same exact shirt as the younger child in a size or 2 smaller.
Mhm.
So parents are parents at the end of the day. Boy or chimpanzee, notwithstanding.
Gua the chimpanzee enjoyed her meals in a high chair, rode in a stroller, and slept in a bed, and, like Donald, received a kiss goodnight. Gua and Donald grew up to be very close, developing like a sibling-like relationship.
Oh man. Okay.
Also, one thing I was thinking, they had this chimp for a while. Do you think they ever had to call like a babysitter? And
All right, just letting you know, our daughter's a little
one
hairy.
of our children. It's a condition. It's genetic.
Don't worry about it. Don't look into it. Don't stress.
Imagine taking him out places, dude. Imagine taking Gua to the zoo, and you bring him, right?
Yeah. That's so fucked up.
And you point at the other chimps like, look, that could have been you. That could have been you. Appreciate us.
thing that my mom did, I'm sure many parents did, was like pretend, oh, if you don't behave, the police, you see that police, he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you to play some like mind games with you.
Yeah. Yeah. You see the zoo? You see the zoo? You piss on Donald one more time, that's where you're going. Stop pissing on your brother. Winthrop conducted a variety of tests to measure their development, including a whole bunch of things: blood pressure, memory, body size, scribbling, reflexes, depth perception, vocalization, locomotion, reactions to tickling, strength, manual dexterity, problem solving, fear, equilibrium, play behavior, climbing, obedience, grasping, language comprehension, attention span, among many others. Every day, 12 hours a day, they were running tests.
Wait. Tickling? That's only what I heard.
Tickling.
Yes. Laugh. Yes. What test are you running? Yes, they laughed at that.
Winthrop, I'm not sure if this is a legitimate test. You shut your mouth or I'll test you right now, all right? Could you go?
You'll be participant 3 if you say anything else.
Some of the tests they conducted were a little bizarre. Okay.
How bizarre, Chris?
One of the tests they conducted was they wanted to measure their responses to a loud sound. So what did they do? They put them together in a room, and then inches from their face, shot a revolver right behind them to make a loud bang.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god.
They wanted to see whether they would seek out support from their caregivers. Gua did run to her caregiver. Donald did not. Another test, the seeking your caregiver test, another test placed the baby and Chimp on the ground, and then their parent would quickly run over and hide behind a wall. This was to see how quickly they would seek their parent out. Gua immediately ran for her parent. Donald did not. The cap on head test. Another test had the caregiver put a cap on their head to see how quickly they would take it off. Gua immediately took it off. Donald did not. There was a detour test. Another test had the infants try to walk toward their caregiver, but then at the last second, they would quickly put up a wooden board to block their path, forcing them to take a detour around the board to get to their caregiver. They both succeeded in this. There was the tickle test.
Oh, I finally get the juicy details on what the actual test was.
So the caregiver used a feather as well as their hands to tickle them. Okay, another test gave them a piece of ice for the first time.
Okay.
Donald didn't seem to like it, but Gua didn't mind. There was a dizzy test. Another test had them just sit in a spinny chair, and the caregivers spun them around a bunch until they got dizzy.
This just sounds like parents hanging out with kids now. A tickle test, spinning in a chair, getting ice cream. This is just hanging out with your kids. This is not tests. Come on.
Yeah.
So these are not tests.
Donald hated the spinning one. Gua didn't seem to mind. Last one is my favorite. This was locating a sound test. Another test measured their accuracy of locating a sound. So they literally, one caregiver, the mother, Luella, she would hold the baby or the Chimp's arms behind their back, while Winthrop put a burlap sack over the baby or Chimp's head, like full on like hostage style. And then they would bring them over to like this like square, and then Winthrop would like call over to them. And then they would see how quickly could they find the source of the sound. For a while, Gua excelled at these tasks, and the chimpanzee developed faster than Donald.
Okay.
Gua started performing better at tasks than Donald, such as responding to simple commands or using a cup and spoon. They also developed differences in how they recognize people. So Gua recognized people from their clothes and their smell, whereas Donald recognized them by their faces. So, kind of getting to the end of the study, despite Gua developing quickly, she eventually hit a cognitive wall in which no amount of training or nurturing could overcome the fact that genetically, Gua was a chimpanzee.
True. It's true.
True. I feel like I could have told them that.
Honey, what did you learn? I learned it's a monkey. Okay, great.
And we'll take 2. Winthrop was disappointed because Gua made no attempt at communicating via human language. This apparently really bummed him out.
Why won't she talk to me?
Yeah.
Why?
They really tried to do the whole like mama, like helping them move their mouth and lips.
No, dude. No,
It was
dude.
just screams. Yeah.
Oh, man.
When Donald was 16 months old, Donald started forming words. Meanwhile,
Okay.
Gua could not speak because she was a chimpanzee.
Yep. Covered.
However, Donald started imitating Gua,
Okay.
including a type of bark when food was nearby. Yeah.
Just a chow. That is so cute.
Fucking bringing over mushed peas. It's dinner time, Donald.
Aside from the fact that they have a monkey in the house, this is pretty cute.
It's a pretty cute study, dude.
Yeah. It's not that bad so far. Hey, we're gonna get out of the
Yeah.
scotch free, folks.
Yeah.
You might get out of the
Yeah.
scotch free.
So Donald also started imitating Gua in other ways. Donald started like dragging his knuckles on the ground, like monkeys do.
Oh wait. Okay. Wait, I spoke too soon. Okay.
That's not good. A little regressing here. Yeah.
So it's basically copying this monkey. It sounds like I'm mirroring the monkey's
Yeah,
behavior.
yeah. This is like the kid. Is it the Jungle Book where the little boy lives in the wild?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But this time they brought the wild to the child. Okay. Donald and Gua even developed a type of secret language with each other involving bark-like noises.
Huh. Okay, that's interesting.
What do you think they talked about?
What can a monkey and an 18-month-old talk about?
Yeah. If they have this secret language, what are they talking about, dude?
Not fucking psychology, that's for certain. Dude, you're a monkey. And you're a human. Isn't this crazy? Imagine they're just kind of really meta. This is kind of absurd that our dad's doing this, man. This is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to imagine them as like they're like two hostages that are commiserating, being like, what happened to you today? I got the spinny test. They spun me in a chair. What happened to you? Oh, I got the tickle test. Oh,
Oh no! I had that last week. Oh my god! I'm sorry.
And they just view their parents as like their torturers.
Meanwhile, the parents looking at them, and they're just doing.
And they're like, how are we going to escape? We need to kill Winthrop. I'll take the revolver. You distract your mother.
When they do the gun test, make sure you grab it this time.
Yes. Oh, he always loads blanks, but I know where he keeps the live ammunition. He has a British accent now. They initially planned to run this study for 5 years. 5.
Winthrop is tripping.
Is this monkey going to daycare? Is this monkey going to kindergarten? Is this monkey like
Is this like a
5 years, dude?
Is this
This is
like a
some 90s movie
comedy?
like Air Bud.
Yeah, monkey goes to daycare.
Fuck, there was an Air Bud like
Guan
movie where
friends?
there was a chimp that played basketball. Yeah, Guan friends.
Gonna meet me and Gua. It's Gua up to meet you. I don't know.
And then when Gua becomes like a teenager and they do like a Mean Girls, they do a Mean Girls remake as Gua's like a sassy teenage girl, and the movie's called Gua is Extra. They plans to run the study for 5 years, but after 9 months, they decided to end the study.
Okay.
The reasons why they
Because
decided to end it are a little ambiguous. It's not super clear. They didn't really give a reason. Some sources say that like Winthrop lost interest. Some sources say that like they were worried that like Donald was like
become a
regressing
monkey?
too much and becoming too monkey-like. Yeah, they're like, all right, fuck this shit.
fuck this shit. Oh shit. Okay. Hey,
Here
but
we go again.
nothing really other than there was some little regression, which we all regress from time to time, you gotta admit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't too bad then. I was bracing for the worst, and this was
Yeah.
actually
Yep.
for 9 months
Yeah.
they loved another animal as if they were
Yeah,
their own.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
So after 9 months, Gua was returned to the primate center in Florida, and the Kellogg's moved back to Indiana. But I was like, man, how much would it suck to like lose your sibling? Basically, they like grew close, and you can't really explain it to Donald. Yeah,
Poor monkey though. The monkey must have like formed like a bond with them.
yeah,
If it
yeah.
Poor
It
thing.
sucks for them. I mean, being torn away
Yeah.
from your family, and then I guess you're reunited. I guess after a while. Yeah.
For better or worse.
I wonder
yeah.
though. Do you think? Because it's hard. Donald was like 16 months old or something when they separated them from Gua. Do you think when Donald grew up, like he probably has no memory of it besides the ones that his parents told him?
Yeah.
But do you think when he's older, when he goes to the zoo and sees chimpanzees, gets like a little
Like
like
it's
soft
subconscious?
spot in his heart and being like, oh, like he gets extra sad because he sees them like in a cage, like,
he starts
and he thinks of
starts
Gua.
tearing up. So, hey, dude, are you okay? Nothing. Just got something in my eye. I don't know.
I
Something
literally have no idea
monkeys,
why.
dude.
It's just, it's sad, right? We should let them out, man, right?
They're just like us. I don't get it. I don't know why they're here and I'm here. That's not fair.
Yeah, I bet they would just like love to get tickled right now,
Okay, Donald, we gotta leave the chimpanzee. We gotta
Yeah. I don't wanna.
leave this.
I don't wanna.
Come on, Donald, we can't see these
No.
monkeys anymore. You're.
No.
I want to become one with the apes. Oh.
I was
Oh,
outcasted
God.
from society, but the apes took me in.
And I brought the child to the wild.
Winthrop and Luella Kellogg eventually published a book on their study called The Ape and the Child.
Okay. They got something for this. Okay. Got some literature.
The book got very popular. Needless to say, it did receive some criticism. I'm sure the criticism was like pretty weak. It was like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But let me see. Let me read this book. It sounds interesting. It's probably like, maybe you should have, brought like I'm sure the criticisms were like, you separated Gua from his family. You should have taken in Gua's entire family into your home. That's the ethical way to do this study.
Oh man. Chain migration, man. Well, I assume it would have been worse if something actually like the chimpanzee, like some wild animal instincts had kicked in, right? You hear those stories.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
sounds like that wasn't really the case here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at some point when the chimp
concern.
gets bigger, like they get really strong, and they can like, they can like just like break your arm, if they wanted easily.
Yeah.
If they threw a temper tantrum, that could be dangerous.
But I guess it was a baby too, right? So I guess that probably helps.
Yeah.
It was like infantile, so.
Yeah.
run this study for 5 years.
I was trying to think.
Jeez.
What would happen if the experiment continued? It would have been funny if Donald just kept regressing and started acting like a monkey, and Gua started like acting way more civil and
Becoming more
human. Yeah. And, like as if like you see Donald like, I don't know, dragging his knuckles, like barking at like, you know, mushed bananas on the ground, and Gua's like sipping out of like a teacup.
That's my brother. My brother and me, Gua and me. Yo, if that's a 2000s Disney show,
Yeah.
if there ever was one.
So the whole idea of the study was to bring the wild into the child, right? To bring the wild into the home and see how that influences nature versus nurture, the development of a child.
Yeah.
Do you think they considered other animals? Like, surely there was a list, and Chimp was just the most feasible, right? But there must have been other animals that they like thought about, right?
Like
if he was inspired by the wolf children, right? Yeah. Okay, if we can't get a chimp,
gotta get a wolf. Gotta get a wolf.
A wolf.
It's already been done once.
I got a wolf guy. Yeah.
I got a wolf guy. Down in Montana, got my wolf guy.
Yeah.
Over in China, got my panda guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, could you imagine, like, imagine if this study was done in China and they were like, hey, we have like a 3-month-old panda bear that we're gonna raise with our little baby Chinese boy. Like,
oh my gosh.
That would be a cute study.
There's a YouTube channel called The Dodo, and it's basically
submitted. It's like cute animals, right?
Yeah, user submitted stories, like people like talking about, oh, we adopted a puppy. So I wonder. I can easily kind of see this as as one of those like, we brought Gua in. He was so scared. He didn't know what to do, but he got along with his brother Brandon. Oh, Donald.
Yeah. and now Gua travels the world as a motivational speaker.
Meanwhile, Donald's just like,
Donald has to be sent back to the zoo. Interestingly, Winthrop later on he conducted research on bottlenose dolphins and how they use echolocation to navigate swimming in the ocean. Yeah.
Okay.
He wondered how do dolphins avoid swimming into pools and boats when in the water.
Okay, yeah.
And he discovered that dolphins make rapidly repeated clicking noises and these kind of bird-like whistles. And the vibrations from these sounds in the water, they bounce off of objects in the ocean. The dolphins listen for what bounces back, and then they can know what is around their environment. His research on dolphins and echolocation, that ended up being like important in the development of sonar radars used by the Navy.
Oh,
because in 1961, when he published this project, dolphins kind of sonar radars were superior to anything humans had developed at the time. So they were able to use that research to kind of improve the Navy's radars. Pretty cool. So yeah, and Donald ended up growing up and living a happy life, well adjusted, lots of friends, family, like everybody loved him.
Okay, but at the back of his head,
I'm just kidding. He killed himself at 43.
Wait, did he really?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Holy shit! We might have to cut that. Holy shit! Did it say why?
No, it didn't.
When I close my eyes, I see monkeys.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I wake up sweating in the middle of the night. I have these nightmares where I'm being tickled.
I wake up and my hands are sweating when in one hand is a banana and half-eaten banana.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know how.
But I didn't eat it. Who ate it? Who ate it? Who?
All right. This goes back in. This goes back in the end. We turned it around, baby. Turn it around.
And Gua also ended up living like a very, very healthy life, lived a long life, happy family, living in the wild in the jungle.
But Gua unfortunately did shoot himself in the head as well.
He shot himself with a revolver.
Captain, he brought it with him.
He shoved it in the diaper. The second I get an opportunity.
When no one's looking. Oh, that
Yeah,
now we have to cut
you
it
tickle
again.
me, bitch. Try to tickle me.
Oh, I wish we could keep this. Oh, this is good. Holy shit.
If you're still watching
Uh-huh.
or listening, thank you so much. We really appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
See ya.